The Meeple Nation Podcast, episode 551. Our top spooky games for the Halloween season.
Welcome, citizens, to Meeple Nation. Grab your favorite beverage, pull up a chair, warm up those dice, and join us at the game table as we discuss board games and the board gaming world. Each week, the hosts of Meeple Nation share their love for board games and the amazing memories that come from playing games with some very outstanding people. Let us now join our hosts in their natural habitat, the game table.
Oh, that was really spooky.
That was spooky.
I got goosebumps. The Meeple Nation podcast is sponsored by GameToppersLLC.com. They have amazing toppers that you hear us talk about, rave, love, go on and on and on about nonstop. You may be getting tired of us talking about that. Well, that's just because you may not have the love that we do, because you are lacking a game topper in your home. Go to GameToppersLLC.com, get one in your home, and find out just how amazing game night can be. GameToppersLLC.com.
We are the hosts of Meeple Nation. I am Andy Holiday.
I'm Douglas Stewart.
I'm Nathan Howard. Are we doing this real monotone, or are we doing a
you are.
sultry?
I guess you're doing it.
Apparently you are.
Good
This
job,
is
Nathan.
Howard. Coming to you live from Wednesday night? I don't know. Okay, shut up. Sorry.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, what was that?
So it has been said that you have the voice of a late night DJ. I think we
I
finally
think that was
put
the
that.
face.
I think we finally put that to rest.
Now, coming up next, we got a hot tune from somebody. I don't know who's hot anymore.
Okay.
Back in my day, it was They Might Be Giant.
Andy,
Which is why
save
it's-
us from what's happening, please.
That's why it's banned on game night.
We have a website that is not related to what Nathan's talking about. We would love for you to visit that website. Check out all of our latest episodes. We have links to those episodes. We have bios of each of us, your hosts, and of our previous hosts, and some of our bloggers. And we have a link to our Patreon page. We love our patrons. We thank you so much for the support you've given us. If you would like to become a patron and become an official member of Meeple Nation, click that link, head over to our Patreon page, and become a patron. Those funds help us to improve the podcast and to get better equipment so that it improves your listening experience. And we are so grateful for those who are our current patrons. Also, we love to hear from you guys. We have done several episodes where we have dedicated the entire episode to questions that you have asked us. Those are some, in my opinion, some of the funnest episodes that I've had recording anyway. To get your feedback and to be able to respond to those questions is a lot of fun for us, and hopefully it's a fun listening experience as well. So if you have any questions or comments, hit us up at meeplenation@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Fantastic. And that takes us to our favorite time of the day. It is, of course, Highlight 30.
I love it.
Now, Nathan, you've got several listed here.
I
Are
do.
you going to pick one or just rattle through them all?
I'm just going to rattle through these all. I'm going to chug along these. That was a very bad train reference there, but
Let's try to get this episode back on track.
woo woo. So I got 3 train games that I wanted to talk about. Some old, some not so old. I got the chance to play with my wife. I introduced her to 3 train games, and I may have introduced them because they're all available on BGA. But we had a great time playing Next Station London. Next Station London is kind of a flip and write game where you have colored pencils. You have 4 different colored pencils, and you have 4 different colored origin stations, and you're going through a stack of, I believe it's 10 cards with 1 pencil. And then once you have flipped over all 5 pink cards, then you're going to switch to your next pencil, and you're going to do that 4 times and try to score the most points. The map has a river that goes through it, the Thames River. You get points for crossing the river. The map of London is broken into a 3x3 grid, and there are bonus regions in the 4 corners. And so you get points for crossing over into different regions. And then also in one particular grid, you're going to multiply your track times the number of regions times the most stops within a certain region. And then you just add all that up at the end of the game. Whoever has the most points at the end wins. Great little flip and right game. I highly recommend that. Get on board. Paris and Rome was the next one that we played. It has a couple of versions. There's New York and maybe it's New York and London. I can't remember what the other one is, but the one that's on BGA is the New York version. And depending on your player count is what you're going to play with, Paris or Rome. You are trying to make stops. You're trying to pick up passengers and pair those passengers with appropriate destinations to gain the most points, all while making sure that you don't loop back on yourself. Because if you do, you're out. The next person wins. The last game that we played was a fun classic game going back to 1990 something, and that is Metro. Metro is a game that really kind of frustrates me because it includes purple, but you can only play purple if you're playing with 5 people.
Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah, because they back in the day, they only introduced enough tokens of each color depending on the player count. But you have the outside of the board is all surrounded with stations, and everybody has cards or cars that are going to go into Metro cars that are going to go into all those stations, and you're going to draw tiles and you're going to place those tiles out on the board, and you are trying to make sure that your Metro car takes the longest route that it can. And the longer the route, the more points it's going to score. And within all of your cars, you're trying to earn the most points, all while trying to force your opponent's cars to take the shortest track. And if you happen to meet in the middle, whatever your track length is, you're going to double those points that you score. All 3 of these very short games and very quick, easy to learn and fun train games, unlike the 4th train game, which didn't make the list this episode. Maybe we'll talk about that later, which was fun, but definitely not short.
Don't want to talk about Terminus. Don't bring it up.
Yeah, that's why we're not going to talk about
First rule of train night.
First rule of Terminus is we don't talk about Terminus.
All right.
Terminus was also a good game, but it deserves more attention at a later date.
Yes.
Okay, so the game that I got to play was, and this was one that you both got to play with me. This was Avatar: The Last Airbender, Aang's Destiny, the deck building game.
This was a great game.
Yeah, really, like surprisingly fantastic. Now, we have for a long time joked that if we ever wanted Logan to stay late for game night, we just had to bust out Harry Potter: A Hogwarts Battle. And it's true. If we wanted him to stay, we just play Harry Potter. And there were many late nights created by Harry Potter, the Hogwarts Battle card game. It's a game we've talked about before, and it's a game we really like. Aang's Destiny is built kind of on the same idea. It's the same sort of deck building and general play system. This is by the Op Games, but they have managed to really take this to the next level. There's definitely an evolution in the system when they created this. So the whole idea is that you are going to take on the role of a character. You're going to get a starting deck of cards, and you are going to essentially be fighting villains and trying to achieve objectives. And what they did that is really cool about this Aang's Destiny is that as you're playing and as you're building your deck and making it more powerful and pulling from a market of cards, you're achieving these objectives that will give you reward cards. And some of those rewards come in the form of just cards that are going to get added to the market for anyone to buy. Some of them are cards that anyone can take. You can kind of have a discussion at the table as to who would be best to take a certain card. And some of them are specific for the characters that are being played. But what it allows is that, because what you're going to do is just like Harry Potter played over the 7 years of Hogwarts, this one you play 7 games to make it all the way through the story. And this system allows you to modify your starter deck in some unique and fun ways that wasn't existent before. It also tweaks the markets and the way that there's a special market for the bending cards. So you have like the air and the water and the earth and the fire. And so there's specific markets for each of those types of cards that come out. They've also done some kind of interesting things like with your character development in terms of what elements you can actually bend. And so what cards you can buy and play and do those types of things with. I think this is an incredibly fun evolution of this particular deck building system. And I had an incredible amount of fun playing it. And I'm hoping that as we have more game nights it didn't take very long for us to play. So I'm hoping that this is one that we can finish all 7 of the games on.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to, this, much like Harry Potter, follows the storyline of the 7 Harry Potter movies. This is going to follow the chapters of the Last Airbender series from Nickelodeon, which I have.
It's called the Avatar series, I think, right?
Yeah, Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it's a series that I neglected for a long time. I started it with my daughter, and then she continued to watch it, and I went on to other things, and I have gone back, and I'm starting to rewatch it again, and it's a very fun show. David Filoni, who did most of the Star Wars, Clone Wars,
Rebels.
Yep. What was the last one with the...
Was it the Bad Batch?
Yeah, Bad Batch.
Yeah.
A lot of that directing of those, and does some really pretty good storytelling that fills in a lot of the gaps in the Star Wars history. But this was before he did any of those. He was doing Avatar: The Last Airbender, and a lot of that quality in the story that you see from those other Star Wars shows you'll see in this Avatar, and David Filoni does a really good job with that. And Avatar: The Last Airbender, I would recommend watching it.
Yeah, I've gone back and started it from the beginning. I am 5 episodes in, and I still have yet to see what the draw is, but I think it's coming. Everyone tells me that it's coming, so I'm just gonna have faith and keep watching it.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be good.
Yep, I'm into book 2, so I'm enjoying it. And I agreed. It did take a long time it took several episodes before I'm like really committed to the story. And I think for me anyways, the what drives the story is more of I'm going to totally flub his name, but the Fire Prince, the Fire Lord. Zuko. Yeah. Zuko and Uncle Iroh, I think, is what their evolution is what really pushes the series along.
I have heard that.
So that's a tangent for a really great game.
So maybe when we've finished watching the series and have finished playing this game, we'll come back and do like a little Avatar: The Last Airbender sum up.
Yeah. This Aang's Destiny goes through the first book, and so I'm looking forward to the rest of the books too. So I'm looking forward to it expanding into to more and more content. So.
I hope it does. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Sounds like it's going to. And it was a great game. All right. So last night my daughter's getting married, and we had her future in-laws over for dinner. So that was her future mother-in-law, father-in-law, and her fiance's 2 siblings. And dinner was good, and we decided, okay, let's play a game. So we gathered around the game table. It took some coaxing because nobody really wanted to play. But we managed to get almost everybody around the table to play. We started out with That's Not a Hat. And we said, okay, this is a simple game. We explained it. We played with the new version, the pop culture, That's Not a Hat pop culture. And I did like it a lot more.
Did you?
There was a card I threw away or threw out because I didn't know what the heck it was. So it was one of those electronic pets, and it had I had no idea. Their Sears like, it's this, and I'm like, yeah, we're not playing with that card.
Is it like a gigapet?
Like a gigapet, but it was not.
Tamagotchi?
It was yes, that was it. What did you just say?
Tamagotchi.
Yeah, it got thrown out.
Wow.
My kids had Tamagotchis.
I don't even know what that is, so we're not playing with that. So there were a few that when there was a CD, and yeah, I thought it was a CD. And Sierra knows, I think that's like a Pokemon ball. I'm like, if it's a Pokemon ball, it's getting thrown out too. So it's a CD.
I didn't realize just tossing cards we didn't like was an option.
Yeah, it is.
Have you met Andy?
I'm gonna remember that the next time we're playing a game.
Yeah.
If it's no fun, I'm throwing it out.
Yeah, it's not fun. I'm just gonna toss it.
When you buy the game, you get to do whatever you want with it.
That's true.
Oh, I need to buy a copy of Bard Song so I can Sharpie in all the tiles.
Probably should.
We'd probably play it then and then really enjoy it.
I have been playing it without you guys. I'm just kidding. I haven't.
I know.
Wow. I was gonna say when.
I haven't. So after we played that, and we had a lot of laughs. It was a good time, and everybody enjoyed it. And then we got Dixit to the table, and by the end of Dixit, her future father-in-law came up to me and said, "I guess I'm buying Dixit."
Really?
His wife really liked it. She won,
good.
but she's like, "That was a great game." So he's like, "I guess I'm buying Dixit."
The art in Dixit just blows me away.
And they kept talking about the art. Like some of these are just crazy pictures. It's like, the art is strange, but
then introduce them to the like 20 like art pack expansions that are out, right?
Yeah,
like
and we have most of them, so we just added that all. It was all together.
Nice.
But yeah, it's so they had fun anyway because they definitely are not gamers, so it was kind of fun to introduce them to some lighter games. And there were some struggles, but we got through it, and everybody I think had a good time. So
2 side notes to your Dixit story. 1, my wife found her shirt.
oh, good.
Yeah.
Yay.
So I don't.
the shirt with the special Dixit art,
Yeah,
just
she
to
had
just to catch listeners up.
Yeah. So
This is a special
there was
shirt.
an art card that she really liked, and so for her birthday one year, I went and had that card blown up and printed on her shirt. And she had lost that shirt with the move, and so it was long gone. And she was wearing it the other night. I was like, "Hey, you found that!" And so that was good times. Happy reunion with the shirt. And next tangent, I've been playing Stella, Dixit Universe game with Doug and Jody.
It doesn't count.
It shouldn't because I don't know what they're thinking.
You're losing
It
badly
shouldn't because it sucks.
really?
I don't know what they're interpreting, but they're not looking at the cards.
Yeah,
at
Nathan and
What?
Jody need a freaking dictionary.
all. Yeah, I mean,
Like seriously, it's ridiculous. Actually, can I just tell you though, in all seriousness, it is not a fault of BGA. It is not a fault of the game. It's not a good pairing because a lot of the fun of Stella Dixit is being at the table when you have to reveal who chose certain cards, and that only happens to when you're playing asynchronously on BGA. That only happens to the person who's taking their turn.
yeah.
It just sort of automatically reveals. It actually takes the majority of the fun of that game
It does.
completely out of it. So I will finish the current game that we're in, and then I think I'm out. That's when I just want to play at the table.
Yeah, no, and I get that, and for the exact reasons. But there was one game where it was the word was present or present, depending on where you put the emphasis on the words. And I had like 9 things. Right? I had stuff that referred to presence. I had stuff that referred to present, and and they each had like 2. And I'm like, are you guys serious? All these words, and there was like one person was on the stage, and I was like, how? And that was like my first guess, and they're both like, I didn't pick that one. How could you? Did you not read the word? And they're both like, yeah. Did you not read the word? So I try to implement some of that at the table, but exactly like you say, Doug, it just doesn't pick that up unless that's something that you're playing live with people.
The moral of the story is English is dumb.
And Doug and Jody just don't know how to interpret.
I quite like English actually.
Because you have the same word that means different things.
Yeah. Or how many ways can you spell blue?
Yeah.
But like it's also just like elf or accord or whatever. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Like it's like I just really want to. I just need to get you guys a dictionary. Apparently.
Yeah.
So I feel like-
you do lose a lot of that nuance playing it not in person.
Yeah, I agree. It's one that's definitely best played in person. Okay, well, those are some fun highlights. Great conversation. Let's talk about some spooky games.
I had an eerie feeling you were going to bring us back to that.
It is the point of the episode. So the Halloween season approacheth.
Yay.
And that makes a lot of people really happy.
Yeah.
I'm relatively on the fence about the holiday in general. I don't do horror. Right? Like we've kind of had this conversation before. Horror is not my thing. And like the decorations people put up are usually like pretty awful. Like, I mean, just dumb. Right. And so I have had a hard time as a kid. Obviously I loved going out and getting free candy, but as an adult, I have a hard time understanding the level of fervor and enthusiasm some people have for this hobby. And I understand that I've just offended a bunch of people listening to this because I absolutely know that it is some people's favorite holiday. It's their favorite time of the year.
My daughter, for sure.
Yeah. I don't understand why, but I'm not here to yuck your yum. So let's talk about some fun games you can play during the holiday season. And I am curious, like, what is because we're going to talk about, I think we each have kind of a list of games that we want to talk about. If both of you had to pick your knee-jerk reaction, like the Halloween game, what in your opinion is the Halloween game for you?
Abomination.
Okay, that's a good pick. I like that one. Abomination's a good Halloween pick.
New to my list, Halloween.
Yeah, that's a fun game.
Okay.
Yeah.
I enjoyed our play of that.
Yeah, I could see that.
What's yours?
For me, I think for a long time, it was Betrayal.
Mine was too. Mine was Betrayal for a very long time.
Yeah. And I honestly think that it might be Final Girl now. Final Girl
really?
is such a good Halloween
Even though it's
game.
just a single player game.
I know. Yeah, I know. It is a single player only game, but it is creepy.
Is
And it really leans into that horror theme, and it really does. I don't know. It's something special, especially around the holiday.
We brought up Logan at the first of this episode, talking about Harry Potter. The horror theme was something that was very special to Logan. And so for years, every year we'd hit on these, and we'd hit on a lot of the same games. And I would buy games particularly because I'm like, Logan's going to like this game. Logan's going to like this game. And much like you, the horror theme is not something that is my go-to ever theme. You know, I've never gone. Yeah, I mentioned Halloween. The board game was a great example of a Halloween game, but I've actually never seen any of the Halloween movies. I've seen a couple of the Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of them. Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Shining, Elm Street.
Shining,
none of them. I've seen nothing. The Ring, whatever. You start naming. If you started naming popular Halloween horror movies, I can guarantee I've not seen any of them.
I grew up on all those. Like I watched them all as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that explains a lot.
That explains a lot. Yeah. But yeah, I started watching Salem's Lot as a kid. Because I was told not to. I was like, oh, yeah, I'll show you. And
isn't that just how it goes?
Yeah. And there was one scene in there, and I can't even remember what it was, but something jumped out. I screamed, turned off the TV, threw the remote at the wall, and ran and went to bed and cried.
Never again. Learned his lesson.
Couldn't sleep at all. But, I enjoy a suspenseful movie, but the just straight horror movies, it just doesn't.
We don't watch a lot of horror movies either, but that's more my wife that hates horror movies. I don't mind horror movies. I mean, I don't get the scare out of them like I did when I was a kid, but I don't mind them. My wife hates horror movies, so we don't watch horror movies at my house either.
Yeah.
So now that we've established that we are probably the worst group of people to be talking about Halloween and Halloween themed stuff.
I love Halloween, and
yeah,
we love Halloween at my house. It's also my wife's favorite holiday, so we tend to get into Halloween.
Okay, so she has
holiday?
not. So she doesn't watch horror movies, but she loves Halloween.
She loves Halloween.
Okay, and that is, and I will just say like that, not necessarily something that I really get, but I know a lot of people who are like that.
Yeah.
So I get that, at least that it's a thing.
All right, well, let's dive. We've talked about one of the games on each of our lists. Let's dive into some
Did
more
we
of the
talk
games.
about them or just mention them?
We mentioned them.
Yeah.
Well, Nathan, why don't you talk about your game?
So Halloween is a new one that we played this year that I just got on a whim.
Yeah, it was a news episode.
Yeah, it was a stupid news episode. And I picked up, and I very much enjoyed this game.
It was cool. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, it's a one versus many where somebody's playing the bad guy, Michael Myers, and everybody else are the victims.
The teenage victims,
Yeah.
Whoever they are.
And so it's a hidden movement. So the victims their movement is playing on the board, and then Michael Myers has a secret board and just tries to go around. However, if anybody is looking straight down the path and Michael Myers crosses that path, they get a little jump scare and, oh, you saw him there. Or my favorite is when they're just moving and then they run into Michael Myers. And then I have to yell I say I because I've played Michael Myers every time I've played this game because I'm usually teaching it. And we were playing with Greg, and I told him that I would yell stop, and I did. And he jumped.
That's awesome.
So we did get the jump scare out of that. But that was one that was very fun. You're just trying to get the victims. You're trying to get, there's two little kids that you're trying to save. You try to get one person, or you're trying to get the two little kids
You got to get
to
the keys.
one of the two cars.
Yep.
And you have to have the matching keys for one of those cars. And only one person has to get to those locations.
Yep. Find the kids, find a set of keys, escape in the car.
Yep.
Now, therein lies my criticism of the game, because I think it's pretty fun. I do like this game, and I think it's pretty fun. Therein lies my criticism of it, in that is the scenario every single time you play.
Yeah.
There is no deviation from that scenario. There's no reverse side to the board with an alternate map. There's no alternate objectives. There is nothing. It is always find the two kids, find a set of keys, get out in the car.
And there's not a very much variety in the deck.
Halloween
No,
is
no,
1,
there is
2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah. And there's
is that the plot to all of the movies?
Not
as well?
necessarily, but yeah, I mean, yes and no. I mean, they're very similar, I guess.
and
Okay.
on that note, coming soon is Halloween 2, the Hidden Movement board game. So,
Wow, really?
yeah.
Okay.
So apparently, Doug, you're going to get 5 different versions of that. We'll see how they all
Yeah,
turn out.
different characters. Then there will be like the objectives will be a little bit different because the movies they're not necessarily going to be in the neighborhood trying to get keys and the kids, and so it will be different because if it's following the movies, and it has been a while since I've seen the movies, but yeah, it'll be fun. You'll get to get some different flavors, Doug.
Sounds good. Oh, I like that.
So Abomination was the game I mentioned, and in Abomination, you are mad scientists or just scientists that have been coerced or threatened to work with Frankenstein's monster. Frankenstein's monster wants you to build him a companion, and you are working throughout the game to try to do just that. Now, you may be playing, each player's playing a different scientist that has some sort of asymmetrical ability in the game, and like there are certain scientists that are totally on board with this and just have no humanity at all. They're kind of There's one that's actually a psychopath. He has no humanity. There are some that are being coerced, so you're trying to keep your humanity up because you have 3 different tracks. You have your expertise, you have your reputation, and you have your humanity. And you're trying to get all 3 of those tracks raised up to the max because that's going to score you the most points at the end of the game. It's also going to unlock different things for you throughout the game. But you're trying to build body parts, and the way you're doing that is by raiding the cemetery or the morgue or going to the hospital, and bodies disappear from the hospital morgue. And each of those, and it's a little bit macabre, which is why it's perfect for Halloween. But there are 4 different tiers of freshness. And you want to try to you're going to get more points for creating fresher body parts. Once you have them all, they go through 2 different stages of creation, and then you need to charge your Leyden jars and flip the switch and try to get them to be alive. And anyway, as you're going throughout this game, there's going to be events that happen. There'll be public executions that happen. There'll be different interactions that have some story that will happen with the Frankenstein's monster, and it will target just different scientists throughout the game. There'll be certain triggers that will happen. So there's a little bit of story, a little bit of flavor along with it, but overall it has a very Halloween feel. And I mean, yeah, you're trying to basically recreate Dr. Frankenstein's work by creating another Frankenstein's monster. It's a great game. It's a fun game.
It is. It definitely leans into that macabre theme.
It does.
I mean, it's fairly
Yeah.
like how fresh can you get the body parts
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's like,
and you're like harvesting organs and muscle tissue and bone and blood, right?
yeah.
So yeah, it definitely has a macabre factor.
I mean,
to
it's
it.
all just represented by cubes on the board,
It is.
but it's still,
It is.
As long as you didn't go to the Bad Brain Institute, that's all right.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. I still really enjoy Betrayal. I think that it's good. I kind of said that would have been my go-to, and it still kind of is. I think Betrayal at House on the Hill, just the original. I mean, there's first, second, third. Is there a 4th edition? I think 3. I think there's 3 editions of it out now. Second edition, I think, is probably my favorite. But it's just such a fun game of exploration, right? Everybody's just trying to discover new halls and paths and rooms in the mansion. And eventually you get to a point where the haunt happens. And with 50 different combinations, you just never know what you're going to get. It's kind of interesting because the haunt is both the amazing part of Betrayal and it's kind of the weak part of Betrayal, because some of those haunts are really fun and quite incredible and well written, and some of them are really bizarre and don't necessarily play great.
Well, and some of them don't have the greatest instructions, so people
correct.
don't know what they're supposed to be doing.
Correct, because when the haunt hits, you basically have whoever the betrayer, basically one, and in some cases more than one person is going to become essentially the bad guy.
Right.
And then everybody else is trying to survive the mansion, and you kind of part ways for a moment while everybody reads the scenario to understand the rules, and then you come back together and you play the second half of the game, which instead of everybody sort of cooperatively crawling their way through the mansion, it now becomes a game of cat and mouse with everyone trying to meet the objectives that were laid out in the haunt. And like I said, some of those are really good. Some of them, the instructions are really good, and some of them are not written well, and the instructions are not very clear. If you get a haunt that lands, the game is really, really fun.
Yeah, I agree.
And if you get a haunt that doesn't, it can kind of destroy the experience.
Yeah.
But
Well, I think my other criticism of the game is, once again, it's with the haunt, is I feel like you need to play with, it's not one that you can, I mean, kids can understand, younger kids, 10, 11-year-olds, 12 or 13-year-olds probably can understand the first part of the game just fine. Exploring rooms, what the rooms do, getting your stats, increased on your character card. But once that haunt happens, it seems like inevitably it's one of the younger players that ends up being the betrayer and has to go off by themselves and try to decipher what in the world they're supposed to be doing.
Amazing how many times that happens, that like the youngest, most naive, most I don't really understand what's happening here player is always the one selected to be
it's
the
uncanny.
one.
It happens so often.
And it just kind of ruins the whole experience.
Yeah.
Right? Like we were having a great time before, we were helping this person along, and then all of a sudden you got to send the dyslexic guy to go read and comprehend what he's just read. And oh wait, that's me.
I was talking about the youngest. That's not you either.
But it is an interesting point though, right? Because the suggested age, right? Like if that's printed on all the boxes, right? It's almost like it changes. You have one age group for the main part of the game, and then it's like you need to add 5 years to the limit for the haunt.
Yeah, for sure. And that's really if that person is the betrayer, because as a group you can kind of decipher those rules. It's the betrayer that you really want, someone that kind of
knows what they're doing.
But it's not. I mean, it's random how it happens. So
right.
You just can't control that.
I still think it's a great Halloween game though.
I agree.
And
I agree.
definitely worth checking out.
Yes, for sure. So following along my suit, the next one that I actually haven't played, read the rules for, pretty excited to get to that table, is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's by the same Trick or Treat Games that did such a great job with the Halloween. So I really want to try this to see if it picks up on the same fun for a theme that I don't really enjoy, but I have a blast with the Halloween. It's different. It's very much a different game, very much a different play style, and I'm looking forward to it. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one that is another addition this year that could be a Halloween tradition for sure.
Yeah, I hope it's just as fun as Halloween, or I hope it's even more fun. So, this is one that we need to restart so that Doug can have a better opinion of it, and that's Folklore the Affliction. I know that Doug, when you played this with us, you had kind of jumped in the middle of the campaign of this, and it wasn't the greatest experience. You kind of felt like you were behind, even though we tried to catch you up. There's just only so much you can do without a lot of the in-game stuff that you gain throughout the game, just throughout playing the game. So I would like to start this over with maybe a smaller group. We were playing with a group of 5. I'm thinking like 3 or 4 max, and jump back into this. It's a horror theme. It has kind of like a map that has you're in adventure mode. You're exploring the map. You're doing kind of small skirmishes that you're not really putting plastic on the board. You just draw the card and you're doing skirmishes, rolling dice, trying to just do quick battles with the different monsters you're encountering as you're going along the big map. But then as you go into encounters where you have like rumor cards that may take you actually to where we're laying out tiles and dungeon tiles, boards where you place your miniature on there, and you're doing more of a tactical dungeon crawl experience. All the while you're increasing your stats, you're gaining levels, you're gaining different items and equipment cards. And anyway, it's a great game. This is one that I really do. We need to do that next year. I think we just need to restart it. And maybe the 3 of us, maybe 4 of us. I know Richie really enjoys it. He'd probably be mad if we started without him. Maybe we just do the 4 of us and just start brand new. But some of the experiences we had that were just so cinematic and just fun, and with the unique characters, like Richie was playing the madman, and he went in, and whenever he goes into town, he has to roll to see if he starts a bar fight because of some of the abilities that he's unlocked. And inevitably, he always starts a bar fight. So you have the madman in there.
Off arms.
Yeah, and he's ripping off arms. Yeah, ripping off arms and beating people with their own arms. And once again, it's very Halloween horror themed. The monsters you're fighting are very horror themed, vampires and skeletons. And anyway, it's a great game. It has been way too long since we've played, but it is one that really should hit the table again.
Yeah, it's very appropriate for the horror and Halloween type thing, like you're saying, I would try this again if we started over from the beginning.
Sounds like a challenge accepted.
Also, a challenge that everyone should accept is going and checking out any one of the Horrified games.
I have seen these at Walmart, and I've never bought them because I just am so leery at buying any games from Walmart.
Sure. Okay. I guess I kind of get that. These are good games. I mean, I've played. Okay. So there are 4 games. There is the original Horrified, where you fight against the Universal monsters. Then they did one that's the American monsters. Then they did Greek monsters, and then World of Monsters. And World of Monsters is, you can kind of play it on its own, but it's also compatible with Greek monsters. So kind of opens up the door there a little bit. I still think so. I have not played Greek or World of Monsters yet. I have them on the shelf. Haven't played them, but I can tell you that the Universal Monsters one and American Monsters are both really, really great. I think that this is the whole series, right? The Horrified series. I think it's a very underrated series of games. I think if people gave it a shot and just really tried to kind of get into it, I think more and more people would find that they actually really, really like this. I think people kind of are turned off a little bit because it is kind of it has almost that kind of like mass market-y kind of feel to it. And I don't know why that turns people off a little bit, but this is a really fun game. You are cooperatively running around the map trying to gather the resources that you need, and it's super replayable because every time you play, you're going to set up with different monsters on the board, and then each one of the monsters has a different sort of mini puzzle or mini game that you kind of have to play in order to defeat them.
Nice.
And it's not like overly complicated, but it definitely poses a challenge. Like, it's not an overly easy game to play, and I think it's a great cooperative game.
Cool. Maybe we'll have to give that a try.
Yeah, I would like to very much.
Talking about fun games,
He's going to talk about a party
Yeah,
game.
I just talked about Horrified. We just talked about fun games. Yeah.
Another amazingly fun game is Salem 1692. This is a game that I will play anytime I get the chance. Doesn't have to be a Halloween season, but if you play this game with the right people, not either of you two at this table, you can have tremendous fun. And you can say wow all you want, but
No, you're right.
You're right. Terrible party games. But Salem 1692 is a great witch game. And you'll start off, there'll be, depending on the number of players, there'll be a witch or a couple of witches. And then once you've ever had a witch card in front of you, you're a witch. And so slowly the game becomes the witches are outnumbered to hopefully the witches become the majority and start to take control of the town. Very fun. And it's kind of in that whole werewolf hidden role type of game. But Salem 1692, one of my all-time favorite party games.
I like to watch. I don't particularly like to play.
I just like to hear everyone yelling at the top of their lungs at each other. The most ridiculous things, preferably from across the room or in a different room.
Yeah.
And I put on some earmuffs if you want to be in the same room.
Yeah, you should just have fun. Come and have fun. We've got cookies.
Watching is plenty of fun, and I can still eat the cookies.
I am actually not as party game averse as we sort of pretend sometimes. And the next time you play this, I will play this.
All right. I'm
committed.
gonna set that up.
Committed.
Julie, did you hear that?
No, really. Like the next time you guys play this, I do want to experience this one. This one seems like a lot of fun.
Sucker.
Maybe.
Don't just get on the fun bus.
I'm sort of.
It's a good thing there's
a hanging on by one hand, being drugged from behind it.
There's an emergency exit, Doug. It's okay.
Okay. I mean, I can just let go, right?
No, it's once you try to let go, but it just has a firm grasp on
That's
you.
how it works.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That is horrifying.
A series of games, I guess, that I know all of us is that we hold near and dear to our hearts is Zombicide. Marvel Zombies, Zombicide, obviously is going to fit into that Halloween genre because, hey, it's zombies. Zombies are Halloweeny. They're horror themed. And what better way to celebrate Halloween than to play as one of your favorite superheroes as a zombie, or to fight zombies with one of your favorite superheroes, or one of the presidents, because I do have that expansion now.
Yeah.
Like we had talked about on some of the previous podcasts, Doug introduced us to Zombicide a couple of years ago, and I I can speak with, I know for myself, Nathan and Doug, is we love Zombicide, we love Marvel Zombies, and we cannot wait for Deceased to come out.
Yes, I went all in on that, so we will be experiencing that hopefully really soon.
I hope so.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is we will definitely be getting either Zombicide or Marvel Zombies to the table this October. That's going to be a gimme. It will happen.
Fantastic. I love it. Yeah, Zombicide is perfect, and especially for the holidays. Another one that I think is really great for the Halloween season, and especially if you are playing with a younger audience, like with kids, Disney's Haunted Mansion. It is a surprisingly fun game. It's simple and it plays really quick, so you're not going to be like a long time commitment. At its heart, it's basically just like a set collection style game. But if you appreciate Disney's Haunted Mansion, if you appreciate the ride, if you have ever been and experienced the Haunted Mansion in Disneyland, then the game really does a great job of evoking that experience through the artwork that it uses. It's just thematic and fun. It's a little bit silly, but especially if you've got younger kids, I highly recommend Disney's Haunted Mansion. It's actually one that we played quite a lot with my kids when they were a little bit younger, and I don't know exactly what to do with it on the shelf, because now that they're older, I don't know that we would necessarily pull it off again, but I can attest that it is great for little kids.
This reminds me of the game we played. Gosh, it's been quite a while ago, Nathan, that you had bought, or maybe it was given to you, but it had the headstones on it.
Yeah. Fright.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, that just when Doug was describing that, that's what it reminded me of, was Fright.
Yeah, Fright was a good times. I'm not. We played it the 1 year. We played it several times during that 1 year, and
that was it.
And that was it. Yeah, I don't even remember it enough to talk about it, other than saying it was good times.
Okay, well, that's interesting.
It was good times.
It had a cool headstone thing, 3D like headstone on the board. It was.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
It had several headstones.
Yeah, it had several, and that's about all I remember about it.
Okay.
So there's some more zombie stuff we can talk about, though.
There's always more zombies. Zombies seems to be everywhere this time of year. One of my favorite little quick ones is Zombicide, or not Zombicide, Zombie Dice, which is just a dice rolling game.
It's a silly little game.
And it is fun.
But
and
it is fun.
It is a pressure luck game, which you bring in that element of fun and a dice rolling game and pressure luck. All comes in a nice little red top can. Zombie Dice nails it, and you get the little expansion with the cheerleader and the jock and the bus. Adds that even more layer of fun. So just a quick little zombie game that I always try to get to the table.
I don't think I've ever played that.
I need to try harder getting it to the table.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's a fun game, so you might not like it.
Oh, that's probably true. If Nathan's saying it's fun, because that word definitely doesn't mean what he thinks it means.
It's not a party game, though.
Oh, okay.
It's definitely not a party game.
So I've played a lot of Shadows of Brimstone, and I think it fits very well with this horror theme. I like how Logan would always explain it as Cowboy Cthulhu.
And that makes sense.
It really does. And we have spent hours and hours playing Shadows of Brimstone, and I have enjoyed every single play of this game. It's one of those that we were doing really well at getting together maybe once every 2 months to play, but I think it's been since June, maybe,
Yeah, it's
since
been a
we've played.
while.
Yeah.
So we need to get our people together and get this game back to the table. And maybe we can make it happen in October once I'm done marrying the daughter off and things slow down a little bit.
Get that daughter out of here.
Get that
She's
daughter out
gone.
of here. Is that all we're waiting for?
The busyness will slow down. I'm hoping once the wedding's done anyway. But yeah, Shadows of Brimstone. It's always on my list of go-to games that I'm willing to play if I can get other people willing to play it with me, and the time commitment that's involved with that, because it's usually a good 4 hours or so to get it played, depending on player count. So, but it's an awesome game.
It is a good game.
It is a good game, and I would like to play it more, definitely. If we just had time, if we just had unlimited time and weekends. Because not only could we play Shadows of Brimstone, but we could also play more Cthulhu Death May Die, which I think for me personally, I think that's my ultimate Halloween game. That's the one that it's probably not the one that I recommend the most, just because there's so much to it. And, it is at this point, I think a little bit more of a hefty game, but that is my personal favorite Halloween game to play. Although you really don't need to just play it around Halloween. You can play it anytime you want. And it's awesome.
True. Cthulhu: Death May Die is a year-round game
It is.
because it's
Year-round.
It's
Not a Euro game.
year-around game, and that's because it's that awesome.
Yeah.
It's an awesome game.
But it's also excellent for the Halloween season.
True that. Any excuse you can get. It's a good Christmas game too,
It is. It is.
and Valentine's Day.
I was just going to say Valentine's Day. So good around Valentine's Day. But no, if you've ever had an inkling or a desire to check out Cthulhu Death May Die, man, find somebody who has it. Because it's a commitment. It's definitely a cost commitment to purchase the game and to get into it. But if you know somebody who has it, or if you can borrow it or something like that, it's definitely worth checking out. It's a really, really fantastic game.
Yes, it is.
So I can't go through talking about great games without talking about my wife's favorite game. And she very much loves Patchwork. Patchwork is a tile placing game where you're building a quilt, but it also has a Halloween version, which is very nice. Yep, so it has spooky little buttons on there, and it's all the exact same premise and the same style, just has a reskin of a Halloween theme.
Do you own that version too?
I do not. Why
What?
You always get a pick on me. Actually, I couldn't find it.
Oh. That's why.
Are the buttons little candy corns?
No, that's a vile fruit.
Well, I agree, but
No, they're ghosts and cats and
Okay.
pumpkins.
okay, I'll allow it.
Nice.
So here's a Halloween question. Is it pumpkins for you guys or pumpkins?
Pumpkins.
It's a pumpkin.
Do you say pumpkin?
Pumpkin?
No, but I hear a lot of people that'll say pumpkins.
That's
okay.
like if you're talking to a little kid. Okay, pumpkin.
Yeah.
But it's a pumpkin.
All right, good. You're both adults. Okay, carry on.
All right.
Wow.
Back to our regular scheduled programming.
Glad we established that.
Thank goodness we're adults, Doug. So a game that is on my shelf of shame. I've played it once, but it's been left unplayed for a long time, and a lot of the expansions I have are unplayed, and that is Mansions of Madness.
Is this second edition?
Yes.
Okay, because I have all of second edition stuff. You have all of second edition
I
stuff?
do. Yeah.
Wow. Well, we need to play this more then.
Yeah. We definitely need to play it more.
Mansions of Madness, it is legitimately really good. This is one I have played actually quite a bit of. Not all of the scenarios are created equal, but
yeah, I've heard that.
But overall, they're all very, very good.
Yeah, we played it the one time, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. We just didn't get to the table again soon enough for the rules to solidify in my mind, because I can't remember who taught it, if it was you or Logan that taught it. But yeah.
Was I there for the game you played?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I'd have to look it up.
Oh, okay.
I think it was back when I was still tracking games, so I think it was. So
Okay.
you might have been. You might have been the one that taught us. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But it's one that I would very much like to get to the table, and
Yeah.
Halloween is a perfect excuse to do so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you're up for it and you remember enough of it to teach, maybe we can get it to the table this year.
Yeah, and it uses Fantasy Flight's. It uses their app, right? So you can cast it to the screen, and everyone can kind of see how stuff goes. One of the things I actually really like about that is that as the mansion and stuff gets built, everybody can kind of help build it, right? So everyone kind of throws pieces out real quick, and you just kind of go, and everyone can take turns reading the dialogue and script and stuff like that. There are a couple of the episodes that I think get a little bogged down in the text. Like they just get bogged down in the storytelling of it without just letting players do some fun things. I also think that the combat in Mansions of Madness is a little bit janky, but
I agree.
But overall, it's still a really fun game and highly thematic.
Right, for sure.
Yeah, we'll definitely need to. We need to bust it out and get that played some more. That would be awesome. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a couple of games that are on my I would like to play this year list that I have not played yet, that I think would make great Halloween games, and that is Nemesis, which I still haven't played.
Which you still haven't played yet. You definitely need to get that played.
And also Stranger Things, the board game.
I remember you getting this.
Yeah, I have it. It's still in shrink, but my goal is to get it played before Halloween.
I've never seen Stranger Things.
Have you not seen the TV show at all?
Nope.
Oh, okay. I find it highly entertaining. I'm not. There's a sometimes with those types of shows, there's a real fervor, like almost like an obsession level fervor for some
there's
people.
a lot of people that were they were obsessed.
Yeah. And I don't get that. I mean, it's a show with flaws for sure, but I still thought that it was really good. I mean, the timepiece, the theme, the characters acting, overall production, all of it. Yeah. It's well worth your time to go check out. I think it's an entertaining series.
You hear the soundtrack every Thursday night.
It's true. Yeah, Nathan has a lot of the songs on his playlist.
I'm
On
sorry,
my
I didn't
approved
recognize.
game list on my approved game night playlist.
No
Lyrics.
Thank you. They might be giants.
Yes.
Ruining the night for
Ruined
everybody.
it for everyone.
So Nemesis and Stranger Things are a couple that I would really like to get played,
So what-
hopefully this year.
Yeah, I think you should totally get Nemesis. It's been a long time since I've played Nemesis. Greg's teaching this at SaltCon Spring, and so that would be maybe it would be worth his and our time and everybody else playing it at SaltCon if he got the opportunity to teach it to more people.
Yeah, at least a couple of times, honestly.
Yeah, and it is a great game.
Yeah, it is. It's Aliens. I mean, it really is.
Yeah,
They nailed it without nailing the theme because they couldn't, but they did.
But they
At
did.
the same time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a fun game.
And it's weird because like I don't like Aliens. I guess it is kind of a horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it is really
It is a horror movie, sci-fi horror.
sci-fi horror. Maybe I'm okay with horror if it's sci-fi. maybe that's the loophole.
Did you like Predator? Because it's kind of a sci-fi horror movie too.
I only saw the first Predator movie, and that was a very, very, very long time ago. Was that the Get to the Chopper?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. I at least saw it. So yeah, maybe that is the workaround.
maybe
for me.
it is. That's
Just has to be sci-fi horror for me
that's
to
the
be.
magic dust.
Yeah.
The magic. That's the pixie
That's
dust.
the pixie dust.
You find your happy thoughts.
Yeah, I don't do horror movies. Well, here's some sci-fi dust. Bring. I'm in.
Nice.
Talking about some that I haven't played that I really would like to get played. I have one sitting actually right here next to me. I had to pull off the shelf because this is one that I bought with Logan in mind. And this is called Lucidity Six-Sided Nightmares. So it's a dice game where you are rolling and trying to match the dice with your to collect dreams in order to escape the dreamscape.
Wow.
Oops, as I drop it on the table.
And that art does look nightmarish.
It
Yes.
definitely does.
Yeah. And
So
it's
do the dice actually. Is that what the dice actually look like?
Yeah, the dice
How
are
do you
pretty
know?
cool. Shut up, Andy.
It's still in shrink. so-
Shut up, you guys.
Wow.
I'm trying to talk about a cool game that I'd like to play. Another game, still in shrink, is the Night Cage.
Uh-huh.
And that's one that I would really like to get to the table at some point too.
Yeah. I'd be interested in playing the Lucidity and the Night Cage, but only after we play the next one that's on your list, which I have
Legends
been
of Sleepy
waiting
Hollow.
for
All right,
forever.
I'm committing
Are you?
to have the rules read, reread for the third time by this weekend.
All right.
Game night this week.
Hot dog.
I will have it read and we will play.
I am way excited for game night this week now.
I had other plans for game night this week, but not
Change
anymore.
'em. Change them.
I'm canceling them.
Yeah.
Plans canceled. So just a few more that I want to talk about. So Weirdwood Manor. It's a new one that I got. I don't know why it just feels like a Halloween game to me.
It's the title.
Maybe so. I mean, you're going around in this crazy mansion, this crazy manor that's got changing rooms, and you're fighting crazy monsters. I guess there is one of them is one of the big bads is kind of a Halloween theme. The ogre not so much, and the warlock not so much. But you're fighting a ghoul or a wight or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but anyway. But I don't know. It just feels like Monster House or the different movies out there that have like a scary mansion. It just has that feel to me. So that one, I put that one on my list. And then I know this is on all of our lists, and that's Mysterium.
Yeah. Mysterium,
Obscurio. Yep.
Yep.
That's one that usually ends up getting played every year at my house during Halloween. And one that I really struggle getting people to play is Nightfall.
I
Yeah, for good
committed to
reason.
playing this with
Yeah,
you.
for good reason.
I committed to playing this with you because
Wow.
I think it's a pretty good game.
That's interesting.
Did you play, Doug? You didn't like it?
Yeah, I didn't like this game.
Yeah. So it is one that seems to be has a love-hate relationship with
A lot of
pretty
people.
much everybody, and it's usually hate. But
Yeah.
it's
most people are right.
I think it's the chaining, and it's the people wrapping their heads around how
Yeah,
to
it's-
chain cards.
Yeah, it's definitely the chaining.
which is one of my favorite parts. It is my favorite part about the game is the chaining and trying to figure out that puzzle of getting your cards to chain and figuring out what other players are going to play so that you can chain off of theirs as well. I just think it's a fun puzzle, and the theme's kind of cool. Definitely Halloween theme. You're playing werewolves, ghouls, vampires, vampire hunters. Anyway, so yeah, very horror themed.
All engaged in an exercise of futility.
And I think a lot of people, the disconnect on it is the whole chaining isn't very thematic.
That's true. It's not very thematic.
Which it isn't, but I think the game itself is. But too many people get stuck on, I'm not worrying about chaining a lycanthrope to a lycanthrope, or it's just I'm chaining a color, which is...
but I think that would be so much more complicated if it had to be a lycanthrope to a lycanthrope or a vampire to a vampire. That would be... people already have a hard time wrapping their heads around it, and I think that would definitely muddy the waters even more.
I agree.
But I think it's a fun game. So we'll have to play that one, Nathan. Maybe it will just be Nathan and I playing that game.
It will be.
Yeah, it will be.
It will be. The last one on my list I know is on Nathan's, and that's the Fury of Dracula.
Yeah, this is one that I really liked playing every year, but it's really kind of lost its luster for me.
It has for me too.
I mean, I compare very drastically different games, Halloween and Fury of Dracula. Halloween kind of scratches that same itch. It's fun, and it's 45 to 60 minutes.
Not 4 hours.
Fury of Dracula's 4 hours.
Yeah.
Has fun moments, but most of it is just like, we found him. Now he's gone.
Yep. It's
just chase and repeat.
Fury of Dracula was a one and done for me. I will never play that game.
And I
don't understand. I guess I kind of get why some people like it if you like some of that like cat and mouse hidden movement stuff, but mostly it was just really frustrating.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't really even that fun, and you get to do so little as one of the investigators.
Yeah, I think if they would have made it so the investigators were actually accomplishing something, because being Dracula is way more fun than being one of the vampire hunters.
Well, yeah, because they go in between. They go in between every player, right?
Yeah.
You have a hunter, Dracula, a hunter, Dracula, a hunter, Dracula. And I remember as one of the hunters. Well, and then when it's your turn, when you're a hunter, you get like 2 actions.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you can do so very little. And I think the whole point is like you really should be like discussing with the other hunters at the table and really trying to create a good plan at the table kind of thing.
To trap
but
Dracula.
it's like, okay, so in 20 more minutes, when it's finally my turn again, I'm going to do these 2 actions.
Yeah.
And then you do it and it's like, well, he's gone again.
Yeah, he's gone again.
And all that effort and discussion is wasted.
It's all wasted.
No, and I think it is more fun to be Dracula because you have all the information, and what you're trying to do is completely different than the hunters. The hunters can be extremely frustrating, especially when you got him pinned down and then he throws down his missed card and then he
disappears.
He disappears. Now it's wide open. We have no idea where he went. So you just guess and hope you guess right.
Yeah.
While his card's still on the track before he can use it again to escape.
But still, even the same thing as playing Dracula, and you're trying to get your hideouts working. You're trying to get cronies to do what they're trying to do. None of that really gets done. And
yeah, that's true.
At least the games I've played, anyway.
I would still rather play this than Letters from Whitechapel. So if I had a choice between the two, it would be the Fury of Dracula every time.
Yeah, it would be Halloween for me.
If I had to choose between those two, I would choose to just have a heart attack.
Wow. Okay.
No,
don't sugarcoat it, Doug.
Yeah, these just aren't my type of games. I don't like them. I'd rather play a party game.
Wow, that is
those are strong words.
Those are strong words.
It's true though. It's true. All right, awesome. Well, that was a really good list, I think, of some really fun, highly thematic, great Halloween games for people to go check out. And then there was also a list of 2 other games, Nightfall and Fury of Dracula. And on that note, until next time,
we'll see you playing Trick or Treat at the door and finding out if your game is a trick or if it's a treat at the game table.
Thank you for listening and being a part of Meeple Nation. If you would be so kind as to follow, subscribe, share, and rate or review this podcast, it really helps to spread the fun. You can be more involved in supporting the podcast by joining the nation at patreon.com. facebook.com/Meeple Nation, or you can find a link at the top of our webpage, meeplenation.com. And while you're there, look at all our extra content. There are links to all our past episodes, a wide variety of blogs, pictures from our Instagram feed, and bios for all the hosts and our awesome bloggers. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all under Meeple Nation. If you would like to chat with the hosts or other members of the nation, you can join our Facebook group, Meeple Nation Off Air. We hope to see you again at a game night, a con, or maybe a suspense-driven evening of werewolf. Thank you for listening and supporting Meeple Nation, and stay tuned for next week's episode.
Thank you so much for listening. We very much want to thank our patrons who help keep the podcast running. I personally want to thank my co-hosts for all the help they provide with both content here on the podcast, in addition to what we have available on our website. Without them, the podcast would not happen. If you too would like to support the podcast, you can join the nation at patreon.com/Meeple_nation. Or you can find a link to Patreon at the top of our webpage, meeplenation.com. If you have any questions, comments, or games you feel should be on our radar, you can always reach us at meeplenation@gmail.com. We can't wait to hear from you. I am grateful to Doug and Andy who helped me edit episodes, and I want to thank James and Kim Clark who do the editing on our blogs and on our webpage, which can be found at meeplenation.com. We want to thank Brain Detergent for our music. If you want to find more from him, you can follow his links that can be found on our webpage, or simply search for Brain Detergent on YouTube to find more of his tracks. Thank you again for listening and being part of the Meeple Nation community.